Hey guys, it's Sam with Davenport Journal Graphics. I recently did a photo shoot for a listing out in the Okolona area of Louisville, Kentucky, and this was one of the Twilight photos that I delivered. And I thought I would make a video going over how I did it because this was a sky replacement, but the sky was taken with my drone right before I took the picture of the house with my mirrorless camera. So this is a composite with a sky replacement, but all the material was taken on the same evening, just one with the sky with the drone, and then the house with my just regular mirrorless camera. And I thought I would just make a quick video going over how I did that. So with that, let's go ahead and jump over into Lightroom and take a look at our photos. I'm going to do my best to make it look exactly like the photo that we saw here, the final deliverable, but I'm not going to be copying any settings other than just my initial preset that I use for all of my photos. And the preset, by the way, is if you subscribe to Rich Bond's channel, he has a preset that he uses called the full bump or the special sauce. He made a video going over what goes into that preset, and I just use those settings from his full bump, and I use it for myself. I call it, in my presets, I call it initial bump, just because that's just what works for my nomenclature, because it's the first thing I do with all of my photos when I bring them into Lightroom, is just bump them up a little bit. So anyway, we have two photos. Here's one of the house, and you could probably notice one thing that's in the photo that wasn't. There was a cat that was wandering around the neighborhood when I went there to take a photo shoot, and this was just the friendliest cat ever. However, he kept getting into some of my shots, and I had to edit him out. Just the sweetest cat ever, and I'll also show a couple of glamour shots that I took of the cat, because I couldn't help myself. I took 7 gigabytes worth of photos during the Twilight shoot. Most of them were of the cat, so which is a tad excessive, I know, but I just couldn't help myself. So anyway, this is the sky that was over Louisville on the night of the Twilight shoot. And you can see there's a lot more range of colors, and it looks a lot more spectacular than... It looks a lot more spectacular than the sky that's just right behind the house. So this isn't a bad shot, and we'll see that once we get into doing some color corrections, that the sky is not bad, but we are going to take it up a notch. So with that, let's go ahead and get started and start playing with some colors. So the first thing I like to do is I'm just going to bring the saturation up a little bit. So yeah, we can do that. What about contrast? Contrast just a little. The temperature just a tad warm. So, and we're also just going to add a little bit of a tint towards the purple. And with color corrections like this, it's always about just minor changes. Just it's easy to go overboard, so just do things gradually. Let's see, pump the exposure just a little bit, and then I like to just see how white balance, just using the white balance tool, affects things. And right there, that's not too bad. But I may still go with what it looked like originally. Yeah, I think that looks okay. But what I would like to do as well is I like to increase the saturation of the greens and let's see, our yellows, oranges, and reds, just because I really want these lights and the colors of the bricks to just really pop. And And I think that's a good place to start. So as you can see, I mean, the colors here for the house and the lawn and the trees and whatnot, this isn't terrible. But this sky is just kind of bland. You know, it's just kind of one color that has just a bit of a gradient in it, a little wisp of clouds right there, and that's not too bad. But let's go over to this sky. And this was, I was standing on the ground and just shot the drone straight up in the air right before I took the picture of the house. And then that's the same sky. So now we have something to play with, and this, I just love doing this part. It's something I like to do whenever I go do a Twilight shoot. Sometimes you have to take whatever you can get. Sometimes the sunset where you are just isn't going to look very vibrant, and it may just be a simple gradient, in which case I may use one of the built-in skies that it comes with Photoshop, or I'll use one from a previous shoot. Either way, I do what I can to try and capture everything from that moment, just because it's like, this is the sky that was over the house at the time. So let's just go ahead and crop, because we don't want the entire thing. We just want the horizon and above. So here we go. This is our sky that we're going to work with. And the first thing that I do with sunsets and twilight shoots is I up the vibrance and I up the saturation like that. And we're already looking pretty vibrant. Let's increase the contrast a little bit, make those clouds really stand out. And let's see, I want clarity and dehaze is fine, but let's increase everything in the red, like red, orange, yellow. And let's see what happens when we ooh, I like that. So if this video is a bit jumpy, I apologize. OBS is really glitching, and my camera keeps disconnecting for some reason. It's something I'll work on off camera, so my apologies. But anyway, let's go into here and just kind of affect the temperature a little bit on the warmer side. You can see it looks like that. Getting cooler, it looks like that. I kind of like how that looks right there. And let's see, what is let's maybe not mess with the exposure. But so, and this is what it's like. You know, get into Lightroom, start playing with the settings, and learn what each of the controls do. And this is all subjective. This is a chance to, especially with Twilights, because during the daylight, it's like, and this is just how my stance on photographing a listing. During the daylight, the objective is to convey a story that is as close to reality as possible. During the twilight, you can kind of stretch and play with reality just a little bit by tweaking colors and lights and really increasing, you know, the vibrance and the saturation to really create more of, I want the viewer for the house to immediately have an emotional connection with it, if that makes sense. Because if you think about it, like, a lot of the memories, at least I have, of, you know, my house is during the evening when we're having people over or parties or, you know, what have you. It's going to be in a situation like this. At some point, you're going to see the sun going down, the lights are going to be on, there could be a really pretty sky, and as someone who's looking for a new house to buy, I think it really helps for the prospective buyer to have an emotional connection with that property and instantly see themselves in that house, like with the kids playing in the backyard while having a barbecue and enjoying, like, you know, the couple, you with your spouse, enjoying like a bottle of wine on the deck. listening to music, having people and friends over. It's those kinds of things that create emotional connections to the property. Like, I can see us raising kids here. I can see us having a family here and having friends over. It's those kinds of things that I like to do to help create those connections. But anyway, so one thing I want to do before calling this sky ready is I want to edit out the land on the horizon. So what we're going to do is right-click, edit in Adobe Photoshop. And we're just going to use the simple clone stamp tool to just replace the land with the sky. You could probably see some of the glamour shots I took of that cat. But anyway, let's go ahead and go into the clone stamp tool. Let's increase the size a little bit. And let's just see what we got to play with. I'm just going to start like right here, and I'm just going to go along the bottom and edit that out. Let's see, go over here. I'm not going to go too overboard with this. It's just getting rid of the land on the horizon. Just, yeah, and that's all we need. And anyway, Photoshop is going to start fading it out as it gets closer to the bottom. So most likely you wouldn't see the land anyway, but I still like to edit it out and just have purely a sky. And so what we have with this is, honestly, this, because this was taken with the drone and we cropped it down and we have something that's so wide, this could be multiple skies. So you could have a portion, let's see, you could use this as a sky, you could use this part as a sky. So you have a lot of variety to work with here out of one image. So let's go ahead, and that's saved. So now we're going to go back into Lightroom, and we're going to go back here. And now it's this guy's turn to edit in Photoshop. Now we're going to do our magic sky replacement. So let's go back to Photoshop, and there we are. So the sky replacement feature, if you just go to edit, there it is, sky replacement. Let's see, my version of Photoshop, let's see, yeah, 22.4.2. If you are at least on the latest and greatest version of Photoshop, you should at least have the sky replacement tool. And and there it is. If you just go to edit, there it is, sky replacement. And so that's the sky that I edited previously for the same shot. But just to show you how to get it into Photoshop, I'm just going to go ahead and go back to our sky. Here, go to export, and let's see, I'm just going to save it. I'm just going to call it sunset, name sequence, that's fine, 100% quality, no watermark. Alright, so let's export that, and we're going to go back to Photoshop, and here's our sky replacement tool. And if you just go here, you can see all of the different skies that come with Photoshop, spectacular skies, the sunsets, and like I said, when possible, I like to use skies from the same session if I can. It's like, because if you look at a house, you can look at the sky in one direction and it can be bland like we saw in the original photo, but if you just turn the other direction, it can be a completely different sky. And the same for just taking the drone up. There is just so much more that you can see. Okay, then here's our sunset that we saved. And it's going to pull that in, and it's a little different, but it'll still work. Okay, and just like that, you can see how instantly, just like here was the sky beforehand, and now here's the sky afterward. And so now you have the freedom to just drag this around and put it wherever you like. And you can change the temperature, like if I wanted to cool it down just a little bit, yeah, like that maybe. Maybe tone the brightness down just a bit. And you can make it work with the edits that you did on the house. So let's go with that. I like that. So it's going to output that. We can save. This time I'm going to leave the cat in just for giggles because he was very sweet. Now we go here and you can see just how different it is. Like bland sky to spectacular sky. So if you have a drone and you are able to take a photo of the sky right over the house during a Twilight shoot, it's like that's an instant way to take your Twilight shots to the next level. And so I'm definitely going to save that because I like the version with the kitty cat in it. Oh, and let's go ahead and add some vignetting. And this is like the final touch that I like to put on. So I don't think we need any more saturation, but let's add a little bit more clarity. Just a smidge of dehaze and maybe just pump the exposure just a little bit. Yeah, and so with the vignetting, what the vignetting does is it helps focus the viewer's eyes towards the subject of the picture, which is like in the center. And so in this case, we really want the user's or the viewer's eyes to be drawn towards the house that's just really popping with those colors. And so there we go. That is how I like to do Twilight photos, by using a drone to really enhance them and take them to the next level. And so let's just go back to the original. That's what the original looked like. There's a little bit more of a purple hue here, but again, it's all subjective. So, do whatever, strikes your, that appeals to your creativity. If you want it to be a little bit more on the warmer side or the cooler side, or if you want just whatever you like. And so, but I just wanted to make a quick video about that. If you like what you see, like, subscribe, share, follow me on my various social media outlets. Fly safe, and I'll see you in the next video.